Hi, my name is Jaroslav Tulach and I would like to demonstrate a new feature of upcoming NetBeans 8.1 IDE. Without further talking, let's do some debugging. Let me show you how to compute factorial. But this time it's not going to be just a normal factorial. This is a factorial written in 4 different languages. So let's start with Java. Debug test file. Okay, let's do debugging. So the system takes a few seconds to initialize, but soon we will hit a breakpoint. And okay, here we are. So this is Java code which is going to invoke the factorial function. Let's step into. Wow, it's not Java code anymore, it's JavaScript code. Okay, but the JavaScript is using some interrupt operation. So now, if I step into, this is not JavaScript anymore. This is a language called simple language, which we use for testing purposes. I can step over, and you can see that, well, the IDE understands the local variables and can show you and can inspect the stack. Okay, let's step out, and again, we can see that the IDE understands JavaScript. Fine. We can step over the function, and now there is another call to interrupt. And actually, this is code completion for JavaScript. But now we can step into the interrupt, and this language, actually, that's Ruby. And the IDE understands Ruby as well. It understands local variables as represented in Ruby. So when we go on, we actually return back to Java, and when we inspect the result, it's 120, exactly as it should be. So that's end of the demo, and now we can discuss details how that is done. So in fact, the code is based on the Truffle API that I currently maintain, and here we basically can define a source for each language and evaluate it inside a tenant, which is basically an independent scope for running languages that can actually talk to each other. So there is the simple language which defines the decrement function, and you can either specify the source directly into Java code, or you can reference it from an external resource. So here is the Ruby code in a separate file, and it actually defines multiplication of 2 objects and exports it as mul symbol. And then there is also the JavaScript part, which actually does import of the decrement operation and the multiply operation, and then is using it to compute the factorial and re-exports the factorial function. So then the Java code can actually evaluate all these files and get access to the factorial symbol and invoke it with value 5, and we will get the result back. Okay, so I mentioned that this is part of the upcoming NetBeans 8.1 version, and yes, you can try it even right now. So you can go to Tools, Plugins, and download Truffle debugging support. So from the available plugins, I now have it installed already. You can search for Truffle debugging support and get it install it into the IDE, and then your IDE will be capable to debug any Truffle based language.